Kathmandu, from Heaven Lake Travels Through Sinkiang and Tibet by Vikram Seth. A travelogue is a travel account of a person which is experiential and anecdotal in nature. The person chalks out their journey through stories about the people they meet, food they eat, and the places they visited. It could fall under the slice of life genre of literature where everyday events are described honestly and personally. Logically enough, the word travelogue comes from two words, travel and monologue. While travel is self-explanatory, a monologue is a breakup of two Greek words, monos meaning alone and logos meaning speech, word. Hence, a travelogue is very clearly a first-person account of an individual's travels. Let's do a fun activity. Think of your most memorable vacation and write 50 words about it. A few tips for travel writing would be to get as descriptive as possible. Write about what you saw, heard, smelled, felt. The smallest of details would make a huge difference for the reader who is traveling with you through your words. So, remember to paint a picture for them. Let us now visit Kathmandu with Vikram Seth. The author finds accommodation in a humble room in the center of the city. The next day, he gears up to visit a temple with Mr. Shah and his nephew. The Pashupatinath temple, which strictly allows only Hindus to enter, is packed with people trying to sell, people trying to visit, foreigners trying to enter, monkeys, priests, and so on. Of course, when a Nepalese princess arrives, the crowd parts to let her in. The author shifts to the scene at a ghat, or banks of the river Bagmati. Everyday instances of dead bodies being cremated, dry flowers being discarded, washerwomen washing clothes, and children bathing catch his eye. A small shrine that emerges from the river bank can be seen, which, when it becomes fully visible, will allow for the goddess inside to escape, hence marking the end of Kali Yuga, evil time on this planet. In contrast, the Bodhanath Stupa is silent and meditative. The author uses the words stillness and quietness to refer to the stupa and the area around it, where small shops which are mostly owned by Tibetans can be found selling trinkets like jewelry and felt bags. The author here describes the various scenes he observes at Kathmandu. On the streets, the food, the shop, and the sounds. It is all so vividly written with ample adjectives and adverbs that you can see it all happening in front of you. The author considers two ways of getting home. What are those, and which one does he pick? A flute seller catches the author's eye, and his lifestyle amuses him. The author writes about the flute seller and the many flutes that stand out of a pole like a porcupine. The flute seller plays one of his flutes occasionally, but doesn't make a show out of it. Here and there, someone buys a flute from him, but he treats the whole transaction nonchalantly with little care. Sometimes he would go and converse with the fruit sellers as well. The sound of the flute enchants him. He talks about how universal this instrument is and about how different countries have different interpretations of the flute. Can you name all the versions and the respective countries they're from? He writes about how the sound unites mankind by the way of its commonality across cultures. He believes that the flute created music that resembles the human voice the most. In a beautiful metaphor, he compares human life to playing a flute. about how the instrument thrives on breath, and about how the flute too needs to pause the breathing process and then breathe again in a cyclical fashion. The author is surprised by how something so seemingly insignificant as a flute is affecting him so much. He wonders how time has changed, for his previous travels did not contain such observations and thoughts on the smaller details of life.